In this video, I'll be sharing why it's important to know your chart ruler and what to do with your chart ruler, essentially. So let's get started. So before we even chat about the chart ruler, let's quickly define the ascendant. I'm sure many people know that the ascendant is essentially you. It's your sense of self. It's how you navigate life. The ascendant is essentially sort of what sign is rising above the eastern horizon when you take your first breath, more or less. From a more, I guess, like dictionary definition term, it would be it's the point of the ecliptic, which is like the zodiac that intersects with the eastern horizon. But essentially, just think about you're taking your first breath, and it's a sign that's rising over the eastern horizon. Uh, Now that's your ascendant, and like I said, many people associate the ascendant with it's your sense of self. It's how you navigate life. It's very important to know that it serves as your first house cusp. That's a big thing about it. The ascendant will dictate what signs are on each house cusp, which then would place planets into them. Every house has specific themes associated with it, which really strongly color the planets. So astrologers can actually only delineate a chart through knowing what your ascendant is. That's why your birth time is so important. I say all of this because the chart ruler is the planet which rules the ascendant, and then in doing so rules your first house, which really represents you and you with yourself. In this example, I have RuPaul's chart, and RuPaul has a late Gemini ascendant. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and we would see that Mercury is in the fifth house of creative self expression. It's also the house of casual romance. It's the house of play and recreation, and it's the house of children. Now, going a step further beyond that, let me actually just pause before I go a step further. So essentially, if the ascendant really represents RuPaul in this analogy, then we can get information about who RuPaul is, not only through the sign of his ascendant, but in more so what his chart ruler is. It'll really help color an even more clear picture of RuPaul. And so let's go ahead. We have Mercury, which is marketing, it's thinking, it's communicating, it's learning styles. Yeah, I would say, like, let's just go with thinking, communicating, and marketing. Now we have Mercury in Scorpio. And Scorpio, as we know, has a sense of allure to it. It might have some secrets. It's very good at maintaining some mystique and some mystere, if you will. And knowing RuPaul's profession, we know that the art of drag requires some sort of secret in keeping something hidden. What's so interesting about this example is that he has Mercury almost exactly conjunct Neptune. And Neptune is the planet of smokes and mirrors. It's a planet of glamour, actually, and it's associated with television and film. So we have his chart ruler being conjunct the planet of glamour. He is the most glamorous drag queen in the world. It's associated with television and film. He is now the most awarded Emmy host in history. The host part I would associate to Mercury, and then with its tie to being in TV and being franchised around the world, there's that Neptune relationship to it. And they're both in the sign of Scorpio, which, as we just described, has a sense of mystery that sign definitely keeps, which is so important for RuPaul. So in looking at the chart ruler, it's also important to see what aspects the chart ruler forms. And as we can see, Pluto forms an exact sextile to the chart ruler. Now, a sextile is catalyzing and generally positive, but Pluto is extremely transformative. It's all about death, rebirth, and transformation. It's about the death and then the rebirth that occurs. And in regards to RuPaul and his identity, since the chart ruler rules his ascendant, he absolutely undergoes a death and rebirth in drag. He becomes a different person. And just like the Phoenix, he dies and and then he's reborn again. That's essentially, what he does in drag. So his chart ruler definitely shares many different angles to who he is and what he's becoming. So in that level, from a psychological standpoint, it's so important to pay attention to the chart ruler. And given the fact that the chart ruler rules the first house, transits to the chart ruler will be heavily felt. So what does this mean for you? Here is a list of chart rulers. Now, it's important for you, step one, identify who the chart ruler is in your chart. And by who, I mean which planet, using this list over here. Step 2, pay attention to what aspects are forming in just the natal chart, not in regards to transits, but are there conjunctions? Are there oppositions? Are there squares? That'll really help get a better sense of how that planet operates itself and how it might respond by ruling the ascendant, which is very much who you are. Also has to do with your appearance as well. Then thirdly, it's important to kind of bookmark when there's transits that are occurring to your chart ruler, because those will be heavily felt. Arguably, some of the most felt transits are transits to your chart ruler. So I hope this video was helpful. Feel free to comment below what your chart ruler is, what house it's in, what aspects there are, and subscribe for more astrology videos.